And we are continuing to watch these live pictures as an enormous crowd is walking down Grand Avenue toward the Shaw neighborhood. And we have our helicopter up over this scene, and we're talking to numerous people. Our scanners are really just going crazy right now from reports all over the Ferguson area of fires and looting and fallout from this grand jury decision. So a lot has changed in just the last 30 minutes, and we're watching a live picture now. This is a peaceful protest. Steve Myers is in Bommarito Automotive Sky Fox, and he's watching this crowd move toward the Shaw neighborhood. Steve?
Mandy, we've watched this crowd for a long time since it moved off of the highway. I don't know that it's quite as large as it was, but it's still significant in size. There are still several hundred people here. There's a couple of cars up front here that, you know, kind of clear the road. And then now we've got the protesters coming down South Grand. I don't know whether they're all going to turn here or whether they're just going to keep coming down South Grand. We'll go ahead and widen out just a little bit to see what happens to the majority of them. But there are still several hundred people here. And I haven't seen any police yet, but we haven't really been down here looking for any either. They are now at the intersection of Grand and Arsenal, and it looks like they're massing there for just a couple of minutes, and we'll have to see where it goes from here. Obviously, lots of people with signs, the same folks that were in the highway, are now here, and no end in sight to this, at least at this point, just based on the numbers of people here. We'll go ahead and slide the camera back here a little bit. We're a little bit concerned about this, but we're going to keep an eye on it. And as soon as anything goes on, we will certainly get back to you. It's back to you.
And Steve Myers up top in Sky Fox. Steve, can you still hear me? Okay, we lost him for now, for a question anyway. But as you can see, the crowd still gathered in the Shaw neighborhood, and also up in Ferguson. They've been violent protests with building fires, several businesses on fire. There's some pictures at the right of your screen there showing some of that. But we had Little Caesars that was pretty much destroyed by fire. There were reports of O'Reilly Auto Supply. We had some pictures earlier of it being looted. So we're having some flashbacks to those days in August when some of the burning and looting went on. Paul Shankman is with us now. Let's call him in for an update. Paul?
Yeah, Tom, we're at the Unified Command Center here at the Buzz Westfall shopping area in Jennings, which is just less than a mile from that area down on West Florissant that we've all come to know so well. We've been asking for updates tonight from the officials up here, but we've yet to get any kind of a briefing. I understand, obviously, they've got their hands pretty full right now. We were hoping to get at least a little bit more information. They've sent out a few tweets that I know you guys have been telling people about, the batteries being thrown at officers and at some point tear gas being used. That's a little bit of old news, I realize, at this point. We did have a bit of excitement up here just a little while ago. If you can roll that video, this just speaks to the tensions in the air, even up here at this sort of heavily fortified site. Somebody in a red truck, we don't know who, and we don't know why police were so interested in him, but they had him pulled over up here in front of one of the stores. They got the guy down on the ground and had their guns drawn on him. The point where the video picks up with us, I believe, is where he was up with his hands up in the air. Within a couple minutes, the whole thing was mopped up. Whatever it was they thought he did, apparently he didn't do, and so they shook his hand and sent him on his way. Again, a minor incident, certainly compared to what's been going on just down the hill here, but it just goes to show you how tense things are, even in the periphery of where all this is going on. We've seen a few fire trucks come and go here. I don't know if they've been trying to stage here or if they were trucks that had to leave down there because of gunfire. We have been in the last half hour or so hearing sporadic gunfire around here, which is something we hadn't heard previous to that. We're not sure where it's coming from or how close it is, but it's close enough that we can hear it pretty well, and it's pretty rapid. So we'll keep on top of the situation here, be here all night if need be, and let you know as soon as we get some sort of briefing from officials with the police department. Live in Jennings, Paul Shankman, Fox 2 News.
All right, Paul, thank you. As we continue to show you live pictures of what's happening in St. Louis City, we are also showing you live pictures of St. Louis County. County and in the Ferguson area. We saw dramatic live pictures just moments ago of O'Reilly's Auto Parts. People just pulling up and running in. We're getting reports that many of them were people with weapons, and they went into the business and they took whatever they wanted and they left. Now here's one of several fires burning right now in the Ferguson area. We've had Little Caesars, Walgreens, Beauty Town, homes behind a public storage facility, Sam's Meat Market, several places that are burning or have burned tonight, and you might see one fire truck there. They just can't keep this under control because there's so many burning.
There was there was a report of a fire at Walgreens, and there was a little bit of smoke coming. From Walgreens, but there was only one fire truck there. And Little Caesars, when we initially had pictures of them burning there was not any fire equipment on the scene. It's just now they're running everywhere. There are streets blocked. They're trying to answer several calls, so there's a lot of problems there. Now, here is some tape shot earlier of I-44 where protesters shut down the highway at Grand, both directions, and police kept their distance there. Maybe one of those instances that they were talking about where they might be able to occupy some areas a little longer than they would normally be. But this is raw video of the shutdown there. You can see the police presence, and then they also shut down both lanes with the protesters. And it didn't appear that they attacked any of the cars that had to stop for them or anything like that. But they did manage to shut down the highway, which they couldn't do a couple of months ago when they tried on I-70, and that was blocked by the police presence. Betsy Bruce is with us now, and she's been in that area of I-44. Betsy, what can you tell us?
Well, Tom, right now, police continue to block a portion of Grand. There are some civilians here trying to get through, getting somewhat impatient and honking their horns. You can hear that in the background. In general, I think the interstate has been reopened, but some protesters have reassembled here at the I-44 exit onto Grand, South Grand, and at this point, they appear to have traffic stopped again, although there are officers in riot gear that are blocking the northward portion of Grand, so you can't go north toward Cardinal Glennon Hospital or St. Louis University Hospital. It looks as if perhaps they're going to try to get people onto the highway here. At this point, I can't tell you whether a large crowd is going to be returning. I would say right now we're probably got about 25 or 30 people here at this intersection, much smaller than what you saw in that video that we were able to just finally feed it to you from along the interstate about an hour and a half ago.
All right, Betsy, thank you.
We just talked with one of our reporters who just told us they spoke with some of the fire officials in Ferguson, and they are saying that they do have the equipment to respond to all of these fires, but it's simply not safe. There are shots being fired, and their crews can't get to these fires because it is too dangerous. Also, I spoke with a source earlier tonight who said that there were promises made that the National Guard would assist Ferguson and help back up police, but that there are no National Guard members in Ferguson tonight, and that they had been promised early on that they would be there in a support role. They're in Clayton and they're in other areas, but that there are no National Guard in Ferguson tonight.
Yeah, the initial idea when Governor Nixon issued the state of emergency was that the National Guard would be in a backup role and not necessarily where the protesters are unless absolutely necessary. So that may be the case since things seem to be getting out of hand with the protests here in Ferguson and also down south in Shaw. We've been a little surprised by pretty much lack of activity around Clayton, where the announcement was made earlier tonight. Those streets were pretty empty, and I guess most of the energy is being expended up here up north in Ferguson and down south in the Shaw neighborhood.
And it looks like Ferguson Market has been looted again. That the scene of the original looting in August when all of this really started cranking up, and now those poor business owners are going through it all over again. And we're seeing many more businesses looting and then dramatic fires like this. And fire crews need to keep these fires contained so they don't spread to more businesses, but they simply can't get there to do their jobs because it's too dangerous.
Yeah, and so, you know, you're burning down businesses in your own community, or looting businesses and damaging businesses in that community. But it will be interesting to see when everything is laid to rest here, that how many of these protesters that might be arrested are actually from Ferguson, or if we've got the outside element coming in and causing all of the problems, which was a big part of the problem early on when they had all the troubles in August. But in August, yeah, we saw Ferguson Market early that Saturday morning, about a week after the shooting, 1 week after, when protesters were going in and out of the market, Sam's Meat Market, the Beautytown Supply, and finally some of the owners, because the police had been told to stand down, some of the owners showed up, saw it on television, showed up with guns to protect their property. We don't have any reports of that happening tonight, but there's certainly the fires and the looting and the burning that they had before.
And we are partners with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and some of their reporters share their information, and we're getting reports from one of the Post-Dispatch reporters that an elderly man was carjacked and run over at Faraci's Pizza in Ferguson. Also, that windows are busted out at the St. Louis Bread Company on Grand. That would be in the city. We're getting numerous reports of looting in Ferguson, but now reports of windows being broken in the city of St. Louis. But this is a live picture of one of many fires burning. This one definitely one of the biggest in Ferguson right now.
It's been just 3 hours since Bob McCullough stepped before the microphone and revealed all of the information that was presented to the grand jury, at least delivered the decision, and then released all the information that was given to the grand jury that Officer Darren Wilson would not be charged. And now 3 hours later, we've seen this erupt into violent protests, which they had called and hoped would be peaceful, from all the leaders and the families and everyone talking about that. But as you can see, it's erupted into violence. Tremendous flames there. Little Caesars destroyed by fire earlier. O'Reilly's Auto Supply looted. If you remember, there was a tire company that was looted back in August, and the Beautytown Supply was looted then. And so these businesses have been going on and on, and even after what happened in August, many said, no, you know what, we're going to stay here. You know, this is where we belong, and you wonder how many people can continue to put up with this kind of thing.
As we continue to watch this fire burning out of control, we are also following the developments in the Shaw neighborhood. That is one of the volatile spots where we're hearing of windows being broken out and businesses there. We have crews on the ground, and we're following that from the air as well. This is one of those crews on the ground in the Shaw neighborhood. You can see, I believe you can see St. Louis University there in the background. And right now that looks peaceful, but we have received reports from reporters on the ground that there may be some broken windows and things like that in the area. Okay, this is a live picture from our helicopter, and looks like we're getting reports of a large police presence moving in from other areas. And we're not sure where they're going, but this live picture, you can see a lot of police in a line moving down the interstate. And in a situation like this, when things get out of control in one particular area, they call for mutual aid. Yeah. Mutual aid has been called in for help with the fire departments. Police departments from all around the St. Louis area are assisting in this. It's Unified Command in Charge, St. Louis County, St. Louis City, and Highway Patrol, but there are officers from many different departments assisting in this tonight.
Absolutely. And Steve Myers is live up top in Bommarito Automotive Skyfox. Let's call him in now. What can you tell us on that movement there, Steve? All right, maybe we don't have Steve there, but he's got a picture for us of those cars moving in to the troubled area here in Ferguson. And here's a ground level shot live of the police cars responding. It's going on south and it's going on north. Rocky Madden is with us. Let's call him in. Rocky, what can you tell us?
Hey, Tom, we're in the northern part of the Shaw neighborhood. We're on Shaw, which is just south of 44, and we've been watching what's been going on the highway. Some of the evening tonight, finally, the police did move in, remove hundreds of people off the highway. They had, which looked like the buses you see that prisoners are moved around in. They look like school buses, but they're gray. Apparently brought them in for a possible arrest, things like that. We're moving over now because here comes a police car trying to get past of us. Or no, it's two of them. We've seen caravans of officers heading this way this evening, bringing their SWAT teams with them. Lots of police down here, and we're trying to find out what's happening further up because we're coming in from the southern look of that same bridge we've been showing you all night. And I also want to tell you that earlier, of course, this announcement came down about 8:20, 8:30. We were in a bar restaurant here, Calico's, gauging reaction to people. You can take a look at that video. And we were talking to some of the people when the announcement came down. People didn't realize what Mr. McCullough said. I had to say, well, he's not being indicted. They weren't sure about all the legalities and the words. But then we talked to them, and after they learned, there goes another police going south, and we're following them. After we saw that announcement, we got the reaction. Here's what some of them said.
I think he should have been charged with something. As far as they said that he had an eye socket injury that never came to light.
They were given a lot of options for indictment. I'm not saying that he's guilty. I think, and I don't even know if I feel that he was guilty. I'm just like, wow, not even a trial.
So we are here in the South Grand area. I guess you would say north of the South Grand area, and we see police amassing down here and coming from different directions, heading towards South Grand from the Shaw, I would say from the Missouri Botanical Garden. I don't know if anybody realizes, I'm sure you all mentioned it, but, when all those people are on the highway, nurses and doctors go to work at odd times, and they can't at these hospitals like Flu, Cardinal Glennon, and other hospitals in the area. They can't just say to the patient, well, you got to go home. We're having a protest. We can't stay there. You just can't do that. So you wonder if anybody's life was put in jeopardy this evening by what happened down on the highway. They're holding their protest, and did anybody suffer the consequence because of this? Did any of the young children or babies in Cardinal Glen or any of the adults or sick people in SLU suffer the consequences what happened down on 44? Mandy, Tom?
All right. Thank you, Rocky. Good point there. Probably didn't think about they might be putting some lives in danger.
There's one person who's refusing to move as that as that armored vehicle moves in from city police. Here's a live picture from over one of many fires burning. We believe this is in Ferguson. We're not exactly sure the location. We're trying to get all that information for you, but it looks like one building and it's not connected to anything. But
it might be a building supply store, but we're not...
and I don't see any fire trucks around it.
No, it doesn't look like it at this point.
That is the storage facility. Okay, that is the storage facility that we had heard was burning earlier. Now it's gone. And our crew's telling us that firefighters can't do anything about it because there have been shots fired in that area.
So hopefully they can get down there to that, but that looks like that's going to be totally destroyed. And there, we showed you some pictures earlier, Rocky, of the protest still going on down in Shaw, and how it raised a good point about doctors and nurses needing to get to the hospital for their shifts and that, and might have been blocked on there. Here there's another live shot on your left there of the public storage building.
You know, Tom, that is the storage facility. We saw that line of police cars from our helicopter earlier that was on their way. It looks like several of them have just arrived at this location on Grand near the Shaw neighborhood. A long line just arrived there and kind of sped in. You could see their lights going and people standing along the side. Things are ramping up in that area, and they're building up police presence right now. One of the things that the mayor had said earlier this week is that they would not arrest people based on their words, but on their actions. That they would allow people to protest, but when it got out of control, they would make arrests. Well, right now they're going from place to place, and if they can catch people, is that Sam's Meat Market? Okay, this is Sam's Meat Market. That was the scene of some of the original protesting and the looting, and now it's on fire.
Yeah, and I believe it was Sam's where the owners came to defend it when the police officers stepped down, decided to have the forces stand back that night and that early Saturday morning, and Sam's was one of the places that was looted. And as you can see, if indeed...
That's just one of those locations that you just know right along West Florissant. It's one that we saw people say, you know, we want to defend our businesses, we want to keep this area vibrant, we want to keep it open, we don't want to destroy our town, and here it is being destroyed by flames tonight.
Yeah, I believe that was, if I'm not mistaken, it was a couple of the owners of Sam's that showed up that one night and said, you know, there was a looter in here, and I could have shot him, or he could have shot me. I just told him to get out of my business. And, you know, we've become familiar over the months of protests with the Ferguson Police Department, of the Quick Trip, which was kind of was burned out and then was kind of a rallying point for people, and the Beauty Town Supply, and the tire store that got looted, and the Ferguson Market. We've become familiar with these areas.
What does this accomplish? What does this accomplish? There are so many people who want to have their voices heard, but want to do it in a peaceful manner. And now you're seeing an incredible amount of damage and destruction on this community that has tried so hard to make its way back through all of this since Michael Brown's shooting, and tried to rally around the small business owners and give them financial help and do what they can and say, you know, we're here for you. And then this is what's happening.
Even the president that has been engaged in this controversy and the shooting in Ferguson has said, you know, we still have problems tonight. He said, you know, there are problems. I've asked U.S. Attorney General Holder to work with the police departments to try to rectify this across America. We have problems, but we've also made tremendous progress. But he has said before, he said, you know, you have a right to have your voice heard if you disagree with what has happened and you believe one way, but this is no excuse for violence. And so nobody is excusing the violence. They're upset with the decision, obviously, but I mean, is this, what is this?
Is this Sam's Meat Market or the Beauty Supply? We're asking the people. Now we're hearing this is the Beauty Supply. So we ask our viewers to work with us on this. We're all getting different information, and there's so much changing minute by minute. But now we're told this is the Beauty Supply store that was looted right along with Sam's on that very
looted
first
once
day.
or twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're watching this right along with us. So you're seeing it on live television here on Fox 2. What's happened in the aftermath of the grand jury decision on Darren Wilson.
We don't know how this fire was set. I mean, is it protesters throwing Molotov cocktails in? But these fires are burning very, very quickly. It certainly looks like there was an ignition and something that would cause an accelerant that would cause this to burn so fast.
Yeah, and you've got people, just bent on destruction. And this is their way of getting back because they didn't like the fact that that's the way this situation would be handled, evidence would be presented, and a grand jury would decide what the evidence pointed to, but it didn't point to what they wanted. Now, we've got several fires, several reports of looting. This takes us back. It hadn't been this bad since the early days of August. If you remember, August 9th is when this happened, when Michael Brown was shot. The next night, there was looting and fires and that going on. And they brought in the heavy police presence, and that stopped some of that. But then there was a lot of criticism that the police department was being militarized. And that's when the highway patrol took over, after Nixon had them take over. And the first night, it had people wondering, well, maybe this was the right way because Captain Ron Johnson was put in charge. And that Thursday night, I believe it was, they were walking with highway patrolmen, and the protesters intermixed. And everything was quiet. And we thought, well, maybe that was the right decision. So the next night, they stand down, and that's when they just went on a looting spree.
And we see police officers who are standing around the outside of this beauty supply place and some of those small businesses that are right along West Florissant. And this fire is so huge, there's nothing they can do, really, to put it out. They're just, you would assume at this point they're trying to just keep it from spreading. Looked like there were possibly some hoses stretched across the street. But they just, you can see the police officers, they're trying to protect the people who are there. The firefighters have said that they can't get in there because there are shots fired. So the police are trying to at least keep the peace around there and see if you can get some firefighters in. There are more fires burning. We're getting reports of additional fires. Also looting. We saw some looting at the Toys R Us at 270 in North Florissant. At one point, there were about 3 dozen cars on the parking lot breaking into that business and taking things. Really get a sense for how enormous this fire is now.
Yeah, it's. We want to take you a little bit through a timeline tonight. You're looking there, live pictures of the fire burning right now. We're told it's the beauty supply store, I believe. Here are some pictures earlier from the air of the protests outside the police department on South Florissant Road. That's the Ferguson Police Department. The presence of protesters growing after the announcement of the grand jury's decision, and also the presence of police growing at that point. And then here is a shot of the I-44, or no, I take it back. This is where they're rocking the police car. And this kind of triggered a response by the police here, and then we ended up with the fires and the car on fire. But these were protesters that started rocking that police car. The police officers moved in, sending out the smoke grenades, as you can see there. And that seemed to disperse the crowd that had gathered there. But then not long afterwards, I'm not sure if it was the same car, I believe it was, but one of the police cars was ablaze, set ablaze. And now here's the big protest down on I-44. Shut down the highway, shut down the interstate. This is at Grand. And the protesters, a huge amount of protesters, several hundred, gathered down there on the highway, shut down the highway. The police officers were not real aggressive on when this happened. They were behind the cars, let the protesters do their thing, and then after a while cleared them off. But they managed to shut down both lanes of I-44.
That gives you some perspective of what has been happening throughout the night since we got that grand jury decision that no charges would be filed. Here's another one of the buildings that burned tonight in Ferguson. We've had numerous buildings, the Little Caesars, now Beauty Town's burning, homes, Sam's Meat Market. Here is a live picture now from the Shaw area, and we have Fox 2's Rocky Madden, who is live on the scene with the latest from there. Rocky?
Yeah, we are right near Tower Grove Park, and Immokalee, which I believe was mentioned as a possible sanctuary in the distance. Hundreds of people right there in the street, blocking the street in both directions. We saw maybe 20, 40 police cars, ambulances, and other cars racing down here, and we followed on the side roads. The chief of police, Sam Dotson, is here. I said, have you reports of any major damage in the city? He said I needed to get out of the street or I would get arrested. So I did as he told me. Now, there was smoke coming out from the distance when we were here, but it turns out it was apparently a trash can on fire. But now I see smoke in the distance again. I'm not sure what is on fire at this point. The police have announced that this is an unlawful assembly, and I've talked to police before, and they say first you'll get the warning. Next, typically comes those concussion grenades, and then that is followed by the smoke bombs. The smoke bombs then are used when they launch the tear gas that holds the tear gas to the ground to allow it to do its job. The officers around me right now are suiting up in riot gear, helmets. They got their shields out. They've got their batons. They are ready for business. Now, we are about 2 blocks north with the police. We're gathered among the police as the crowd gathers at 2 blocks away from us. And these look like some of the same people that possibly were in the highway, but they walk quite a ways down here past the sanctuary at that church that's in South City, and they're at Mokabee's outside of it and in the middle of the street. That's the thing stand right now. Police are kind of getting their gear out and shields, and I think they're waiting for their orders to start marching down the streets, and probably there will be a confrontation, as we've seen all night long. Mandy, Tom.
All right, Rocky, thank you. Rocky Madden live down in the Shaw neighborhood around Grand and Arsenal, and the protests going on down there. And now we're going to go out to Jeff Bernthal, who is in Clayton. Jeff?
Yeah, Tom, much different situation here where things have been quiet ever since this announcement was made regarding the grand jury's decision. I can tell you through social media there were calls for demonstrators to gather in Ferguson, Andy, and Shaw, so that is likely why there was not a large crowd here in Clayton. Building in Carondelet Avenue is also closed out in front of the Justice Center. After this decision by the grand jury was made, we talked with a number of folks here, some of them in tears as they found out that there would be no indictment on any of those charges. Here's what they told us right after that announcement.
What was the point? What if y'all knew that y'all wasn't gonna find him guilty? What was the point even making us think that? That's not fair. He gets to go home back to be with his family.
This community allowed justice to take its course, and we couldn't get past first base.
We've had enough racism, enough bigotry. It's got to stop. It's killing us. It's killing our city, it's killing our state, and it's killing our nation.
This is another example that black lives are not valued here in this society. It's another example of a miscarriage of justice, and I'm absolutely outraged.
I believe our system failed us tonight by not at least indicting him and bringing him before trial.
Now, we understand one arrest was made here. We were out here, someone throwing eggs at the county government building, and that was about as tense as things got out here. Again, after that decision was announced, people, some of them just left here quietly, others were in tears. Reporting live from Clayton, Jeff Bernthal, Fox 2 News.
What a dramatic difference between the scene in Clayton and this is the scene live in Ferguson. Beautytown has burned to the ground. That was one of those businesses along West Florissant that was looted originally, and they vowed to stay open and vowed to be committed to Ferguson, now set fire and destroyed. You can see police are there. There are people taking pictures on their cell phones, but there are a lot of police around trying to keep people away. See someone with a gas mask. Those are a common sight tonight. Tear gas has been fired. St. Louis County Police started off firing smoke pellets, and then they switched over to some tear gas to try to disperse large crowds that have been all along the main road in Ferguson. And here's another aerial look from Beautytown. Now we're back to Grand.
Okay, this is a live picture along Grand and Arsenal. and some protesting there. It looks like a small presence there. It's hard to tell from that vantage point, but you can see the police cars in the background. It looks like they're directing some traffic there, maybe trying to get around some of the protesters, get a truck through there. But yeah, this is down in the south, where earlier they shut down I-44 and then moved into the neighborhoods there.
There have been a lot of, we've noticed in several of these protest incidents where just people who are driving by in their cars, some on Interstate 44, some along Grand, where they've found themselves trapped in the middle of all of this and at a standstill and surrounded by demonstrators. We've heard of one report of violence against someone who was in their car, but we're still trying to get all of that confirmed. But our partners at the Post-Dispatch were reporting that earlier. Here's one of the businesses on Grand.
It looks like they've broken windows there on AJ's pawn shop, I believe it was there. But anyway, yeah, they've managed to do some damage down there.
Betsy's right outside of that business. We saw her just.
That's right.
Go ahead, Betsy.
Yes, you can hear the burglar alarm going off at HJR Pawn Shop. There's some people walking up and down the street earlier saying, why are you breaking windows? There was a FedEx office supply place that had broken windows.
Yeah, we just saw one guy grab something from there, Betsy. I don't know if you saw that. He grabbed something and took off with it.
Looks like they grabbed a crossbow, they said.
Crossbow?
Well, it's a pawn shop, so there are all sorts of things in the window. But one, the Panera, the Phillips Bread Company has a couple of windows broken. And people are wondering why, because they use those services. But somebody did just grab a crossbow from this pawn shop. So I think we're going to back away a bit. But there are people who are walking across Grand here in the 3100 block, just blocking traffic completely. And they've tried to get people out of the way here and backed up and get traffic diverted to another location. You've got people milling around here. We're walking back north a bit on Grand. You can see the crowd here blocking the street.
Are the police anywhere around there?
There was a police officer who was standing near the pawn shop, and we do see a couple of cars on the side streets blocking people from coming onto Grand. But right now in the middle of the street, I don't see any officers.
Betsy, thank you. It looks like we've got more going on in Ferguson now. From our live picture from Bommarito Automotive Skyfox, you can see one of those fires burning. We're going to go back live to photographer Steve Myers to tell us what we're seeing and what's happening there. Steve?
Well, Mandy, we'll kind of set it up for you here. You obviously see the beauty supply place, but here's the incredibly unusual thing outside of a fire just burning out of control. These yellow things are the fire hoses, and this is one of the areas where shots were fired and firemen evacuated, and that's why this is going on. We'll try to get you through the smoke here just real quick, and those are rather police officers, and so they are standing. Nobody's going to get near this, but in the meantime, this particular beauty supply house continues to burn, and it will keep going because beauty supply, I'm going to assume that there are a number of accelerants there with hairsprays and things like that. I'm going to go ahead and take you back out here and let you look at the whole area, and then we'll go up the street just a little bit from that fire to the smaller fire at the storage facility, no less severe. I mean, it seems to be completely out of control, but that is not connected to any of the storage facility. That's usually the little place that you come and you rent something, or the caretaker lives in that spot, so that could be somebody's home. And if we go a little farther up the street, there is another fire. I don't know whether or not it might not have sort of burned itself out, but this is that third fire up on West Florissant, and it continues to burn unabated. It's just a very sad and a very odd scene for me. I've never seen this in 41 years of news photography. It's just really, really unusual, and it is just a darn shame because Ferguson's a nice community. But you can see these fires going, and at least for the foreseeable future, there will be nothing done to stop them. With the threat of potential violence for all of these folks. We'll get you back to the original fire here real quick. And just let you know what's going on here. But for now, we'll leave you with that, and that is our live view from Skyfox.
Steve, if you can stay with us for just a moment. We know there's a little bit of a delay and when we're talking back and forth, but when you're showing us these fires and what you can see from the air, we saw those hoses stretched across the street. Are there fire trucks out there near these fires, or is it just police trying to keep people away? Are you seeing any efforts to try to put these fires out?
No, there are no fire trucks here, and I suspect that, when they get the calls of shots fired, you disconnect the hoses and you drive off. You're not going to worry about that. So that's why you don't see any fire trucks here, but you do see the hoses, and it's very obvious that they left in a rush, which is unusual for firemen. They don't do that unless they're told to get out because of danger, and obviously this building is a loss as well as the other two up the street.
All right, Steve Myers up top. Thank you for that report. And now let's go back down south, where apparently there's a fire on South Grand now. And one of the buildings on South Grand is Rocky. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I've got a Skype picture up. I don't know if you can see it. We're 2 or 3 blocks north of the smoke. Now, our photographer, Wade Smith, thought that was the smoke was caused by smoke bombs and not a building burning, but I don't see any firefighters down there. Of course, it may not be safe for them. You can see this Department of Corrections bus brought in, apparently, to make arrests or also to carry some of the many police. Now, when we came down here, we saw 20 or 40 officers screaming this way, along with the different units that they would need to make arrests. And right now, they were suiting up just a minute ago and preparing to go south on Grand, and this is near Mokabees. These are some of the people walking back from the protest. Apparently, they don't want to have any part of this because there are dozens and scores of police down here right now. I'm at Pestalozzi in Grand, and in the distance, I can see some smoke coming again. So I don't know if they're firing the smoke bombs yet. They're setting trash cans on fire. We're still trying to figure it out. And there you may be able to see the police heading down South Grand right now. And they've got their shields, they've got their batons, and they're ready to go apparently confront these people. Now, there is more smoke in the distance that we can see down there by Mokabees. I don't know how much you can see from this distance. I'm now about a block away. I walked about a block down here into the middle of all this. Here's some ambulances nearby ready to go. So that's the way things stand right now. No confrontation yet, but it looks like it's about to be coming soon. Andy, Tom.
All right, thank you, Rocky. And we're getting a report now of a gunshot victim at McDonald's on West Florissant. So apparently someone has been wounded. No word on...
This is a new fire, too, Tom. Look, it started, it's very small. So we've got another fire burning. We have Skyfox, so I'm not sure what this business is. That looks like a Taco Bell right next to it. Can Steve Myers hear us? Can he tell us what this building is?
Well, Mandy, I can definitely hear you, but I can't tell you what building this is. We're trying to determine that ourselves. We know those stripes are obviously mean some very specific business, but we're not sure. This we just noticed this one while we were looking at another one down the street. This is a first. I'll see if we can pick something up on one of these signs here. It's a little hard, and we're gonna try and look here just a little bit closer for a second if you'll hang with us here a minute. But yeah, this one just began. I'm not quite sure what will happen here because unfortunately with a lot of these fires they continue to burn, they affect transformers and things like that, and they knock out power. That was the case down at that beauty supply where the fire is so severe. We kind of theorized up here in the helicopter that it's knocked out the transformer, and that's why the McDonald's doesn't have any kind of power. Well, let's see. We're going to try. I'm having a very hard time. Oh, it's AutoZone. This is AutoZone. So this is the AutoZone on West Florissant here, right across from the Taco Bell that now is on fire.
Yeah, again, that is the AutoZone across from Taco Bell. We're also getting reports of vehicles being looted near New Halls Ferry and Old Halls Ferry, trying to get that confirmed. But this a brand new fire, another one that is just starting. We're seeing these things start out small and just spread quickly. This is the AutoZone on West Florissant. The Taco Bell is right next to it. So as Skyfox flies over this, there's just one fire after the next. All of these are businesses all along West Florissant.
Absolutely, and there you go with businesses that'll be shut down and people can't go there, and you've got people that are out of jobs. I mean, it's just a shame. This has affected so many people in so many ways, and as you've watched all night, you've seen the school closings and everything rolling at the bottom of your screen. And it's also apparently affected some flights at Lambert. That's where we find Shirley Washington right now. Let's call in Shirley and have her give us an update. Shirley?
Tom, we just arrived here a short time ago. As you can see behind me, Lambert is empty for the most part. There's an employee that's over there doing something to the floor, perhaps cleaning it. And then there are a couple of people here who are waiting for loved ones to arrive. However, we don't know when that's going to happen, as the Federal Aviation Administration has canceled all inbound flights to Lambert due to wind conditions. Joining me now is Karen Silverstein. And Karen, just fill me in. You were telling me that you are waiting for your husband to arrive from Los Angeles.
Yes, he flew from Los Angeles to Denver and Denver to St. Louis.
So how did you find out that his flight had been canceled?
I was driving here and I was 2 minutes away, and I have an app, and my son was monitoring it at home, and he just said, I think his flight, something's wrong. And then I listened to the radio and they said all inbound flights are canceled. So we scrambled and everyone's looking around, and he's on his way back to Denver.
Oh my goodness. So what was your reaction when you learned what had happened?
I don't understand why the inbound flights were canceled, and then I don't understand, he was 5 minutes from here. I got here at 11, he was arriving at 11:04.
Yeah. So what do you do now? Just wait, I guess, huh?
I'm going to go home. I love him, but I'm going to go home. I will come back. Apparently, they're going to reschedule the flights. I guess he's going back to Denver, and they will reschedule him for a flight tomorrow. And I guess my son's been monitoring it, but I don't really know. And I feel really bad.
Yeah. All right, Karen, thanks so much, and I hope your husband gets here soon. Don Holzhauser is also here, and Don is from Springfield, Illinois, correct?
Correct.
And then you are here to pick up whom, Don?
My wife's sister, or my favorite sister-in-law, as we call her. But
yes.
She was flying in for a wedding, and also to see her son, and
Shirley, we're going to interrupt you right now. We have a dramatic new development we have just learned of. A U City police officer has been shot at Canton and Lamb. Tom, we have any more information on that? A U City police officer shot at Canton and Lamb on his way to the hospital right now. We do not know his condition. St. Louis County Police are confirming this. A U City police officer shot at Canton and Lamb, and they're looking for a suspect.
Yeah, we don't know the circumstances surrounding that. We don't know if it's related to Ferguson at this point, but we do have a crew on the way, and we'll keep you updated on that. Also, a gunshot victim at the McDonald's on West Florissant. No word on what transpired there or how seriously that gunshot victim is, but anyway, there has been a gunshot victim at McDonald's in West Florissant, and now a U City officer at Canton and Lamb, and we'll try to bring you updates on both of those as we get more details.
Officers are also reporting heavy automatic gunfire in the area of West Florissant and Canfield. Again, officers reporting gunfire in the area of West Florissant and Canfield. So the Fires and the violence are escalating tremendously at this hour all around Ferguson. And then we're also following the events and what's happening, and we're getting lots of reports of possible tear gas that being used in the city of St. Louis. This is a live picture at Grand, where you can see that there is a police line set up and there is a large group of protesters that have gathered in that area. Rocky talked about smoke. We do know there have been trash cans set on fire. We know there's been looting in that area, windows broken at the bread company and at a pawn shop there. But this in the city of St. Louis, the most dramatic developments are by far in Ferguson, now hearing that a U City police officer has been shot.
Yeah, and again, we don't know if that is connected with the Ferguson situation, or if it's even connected with the officer's decision by the grand jury on the officer not being charged with anything, or it could have been a robbery, anything else. But we're efforting to get details on that, to bring you more details on what happened with that officer getting shot. But it's turned out to be a violent night, despite all the pleas for peaceful protests. And there probably, there were a lot of peaceful protesters, but one of the challenges those officers faced was weeding out the bad apples that are bent on violence. And that's always the challenge in a situation like this. And a lot of these people that are causing this problem in Ferguson and down in the Shaw neighborhood may not even be from the area.
Still looking now at the remnants and the fire still burning at Beautytown in Ferguson. We just had another new fire. There are businesses all along West Florissant that are burning right now, and fire crews are not able to do a thing. We had heard when you say, oh, what could happen? Well, they could set the city on fire. Well, that is actually what's happening in Ferguson tonight. And these poor people who live there and are proud to call Ferguson home, and they're sitting there watching their business district, many of those small businesses, go up in flames.
Yeah, you got a tax base there, you got jobs, I mean, it's just a shame to see it. Elliot Davis is on the ground there in Ferguson. Let's call him in. Elliot?
Yeah, Tom, certainly a dramatic situation here in Ferguson. As you alluded to, the fires, we are right down from the fires. As a matter of fact, right across from it, a nail salon, a beauty supply shop on fire. It has been burning for a while. Strangely, there are about, just 20 people milling around that right now. Police have the area blocked off. But we are able to get actually pretty close to it. As you said before, certainly a very tense situation right now here in Ferguson. I'm going to walk closer to where this building is burning, obviously, but still staying at a very safe distance. We don't see any damage to a McDonald's next door, but periodically we are still hearing gunfire down here. It is quiet, eerily quiet, for a few seconds, and then all of a sudden some more gunfire goes off, which is what's going on right now. So what we're seeing right now is police have both ends of West Florissant blocked off. I don't see fire trucks down here, and I don't know whether they actually tried to come down here and then were forced to back off. I am not sure, but police do have the streets blocked off. There are still crowds of people apparently in the streets. There are police also in riot gear. We had, as we were down the...
All right, Elliot, I'm sorry we may have to interrupt your report right now. We'll try to get back to Elliot there in Ferguson, but right now on the phone we have Officer Sean McGuire with the St. Louis County Police Department, and may have some information on the U City officer we reported had been shot. Officer McGuire?
Yes, that just actually happened within the last 10 minutes. We don't have too much information for you, but we do have a confirmed U City police officer shot. We don't know the condition yet. He's en route to the hospital.
Do you know if this is connected to the Ferguson situation?
It's too early to tell. With this dynamic situation happening in Ferguson, there's so many different places that are getting hit and affected by this. So it's a little too early to tell that's what happened. We don't have the full story on how this happened and exactly where it happened. But we're definitely looking into it.
So you're trying to get more information on where it happened. Can you give us a sense for the location or any general terms of where this happened? Was it in a residential area? Was it at a business, or exactly where this happened?
Looks like I just got an update on the intersection. It's off Canton and Lamb, Lamb. So that is definitely in the area of these protests.
Oh, it is in the area.
It is. So it's not in U City. This happened in Ferguson?
That's correct.
Okay, so this U City police officer was shot in Ferguson, correct?
Yes, we're still looking for confirmation on that, of what his injuries are, but the intersection of where the shooting occurred was Canton and Lamb.
Okay. All right. We wanted to clarify that. We know there are, give us a sense for the various police departments who are working in Ferguson. So there's officers from all over, correct?
That's correct. There's all surrounding municipalities and Highway State Patrol and St. Louis County Police. They're all working together.
This is going to be a stressful time for you. I mean, it was stressful with all the police officers waiting and waiting for a decision to come down and waiting to see what might happen, and then having to face this kind of thing tonight.
Yes, it's very stressful. It's definitely not the outcome that we wanted to have after this grand jury decision was released. But we are doing our best to protect the businesses. We're still doing our best to preserve life and property. But it's just a violent situation right now, and it's very dynamic.
Okay, one more question I had for you. We're seeing police standing outside of these businesses. Are police just trying to protect firefighters? What are they doing as these businesses are burning? What is their role outside of on the streets and what they're doing at this point?
That's correct. The fire departments had issues of trying to put fires out when gunshots were going off in the area, so they backed off of certain fires so they couldn't put them out due to their safety. Due to that, we tried to dispatch a lot of police officers to those scenes to help the firemen out so we can get a lot of these fires put out.
So you are trying to get firefighters in there to work on these fires?
That's correct. We got to secure the area, though, with multiple gunshots in the area, and in certain cases we had automatic gunfire. That's just too dangerous to send firemen in to a burning building.
Is any area on West Florissant secure?
You know what? I'm not at the scene.
Okay.
We don't have any information on that.
All right, Officer McGuire, thank you very much for joining us and shedding what light we have on that, and hopefully we'll get some more information on that officer, and hopefully he will be okay.
Thank you.
And we'll hopefully be able to check back in with him as well. Now you're looking at a live picture. This is from South St. Louis. Now we're back to the city, and you can see all the police lined up on one side of the street and then protesters on the other side. They have
Yeah,
their
I believe
shields.
this is Grand and Arsenal.
This is Grand and Arsenal. Okay, you can get a sense from our helicopter of how big the crowd is. And right now there's just a distinct line between the two. And you can see this from the ground shot. You see police have their shields up. We've had reports of smoke bombs being deployed. We've had reports of tear gas, but we're not sure exactly which ones have been used.
Yeah, well, Betsy Bruce has been reporting from down in that area, and she was talking a while ago with the pawn shop that had been broken into, and Betsy has tweeted that smoke and tear gas has been used to disperse the crowd in the 3100 block of South Grand after windows were broken. So it looks like still a huge amount of protesters down there in South City, though, and closed down the interstate earlier.
We're trying to get any kind of information we can on injuries. We've heard of people who've been hit by flying objects, but one dramatic development from just moments ago in the last 10 minutes is that a University City police officer has been shot and taken to the hospital, shot not far from the protest in Ferguson at Canton and Lamb. And this is what everyone was hoping to avoid. The main goal is try to preserve life and protect businesses and also allow people free speech. But now we've had our first officer injured in tonight's situation.
Yeah, and we were hoping that when it came out that it was a U City officer, we were hoping that maybe it had was some incident within U City with a robbery or something like that, and the officer was not hurt badly or whatever. But now, after it sounds like it is indeed part of this protest, which just accents, at least the address is in the Ferguson protest zone, which just accents how violent these protests have become.
Well, we're going to go back and show you more live pictures from Ferguson. Just all along West Florissant, there are numerous buildings on fire. And we have Benita Cornute, who's on the ground in Ferguson, to tell us what she's seeing. Benita?
Well, that's right, Mandy. Here on West Florissant, we're right at the intersection of West Florissant and Ferguson, basically set up across the street from Ferguson Market, which was heavily damaged in the incident in August. Today, though, you can see behind me, there is a building burning, and it actually is burning to the ground. I believe that was beauty supply. Beauty shop location. It's right next to the McDonald's. And then as you look further down West Florissant, you see a line of officers, and I actually believe that might be Highway Patrol in riot gear. I'm a little far away to really tell which department is represented there. Now they're moving down West Florissant behind, I guess, a caravan of vehicles, police cars and armored vehicles moving toward Canfield. And I think I see flames on another building down the street. And if you continue looking down West Florissant toward Canfield and toward Chambers Road, you can see smoke billowing in the air.